Hey, this is Ian Spanier, Los Angeles-based commercial photographer. Today for PPA, I'm going to have you join me on set for some continuous light portraits. When it comes to lighting, a lot of photographers seem to be intimidated by strobe, so there is always an alternative option aside from natural light. If you want to create your own light, continuous lights are another great source of the what you see is what you get option from being able to learn lighting and truly start to understand light. Today, we're going to be working with the Westcott L120B bicolor LED lights. One of the reasons I chose the L120B is the fact that it has both color and brightness control in one unit. This lightweight unit also accepts all Bowens mounts modifiers. This gives me complete control over the light just as much as I would if I was shooting with strobe. The reason I needed to put those V-flat World V-flats up is because when we're doing the continuous light source, that all available light is going to become a factor of our exposure. So I want to control the light as much as possible, again, just the same as I would if I was shooting strobe. I'm going to be mounting the 7-foot Westcott silver umbrella with diffusion on the top of my stack. This is going to be my key light. And then I'm going to put a 43-inch deep silver umbrella as a fill light underneath that, all on the same stand. This is a very self-contained light source that I utilize in order to take up a very small footprint when I'm shooting in a tight location. This is something I came up with to work on small locations in the occasion when I want big light feel, but just don't have the room necessarily to put up a lot of lights. Some of the equipment that we'll be using today is the Canon R5 II along with the 24 to 105 millimeter lens, my Spider Holster Spider X belt clip-on, which allows me to go hands-free at any time during the photo shoot without putting my camera down, the Sekonic L858D-U light meter, as well as the Cam Ranger 2, which will allow me to shoot a JPEG to an iPad so that we can see our shoot in real time as we go. V-flats are an essential tool to working in a studio, especially when you're working with available light. We need to control as much light as possible here, especially if we're shooting in a space that has other light sources happening. The light coming through my other room's window is going to affect our exposure. So I'm not only blocking it with the V-flat, but I'm also reflecting negative fill into my subject. So the black side of the V-flat facing towards my subject, it would give me a much deeper shadow side if the V-flat wasn't in place. The use of a light meter will allow you to completely understand what each light source is doing when you are working with available lights or strobes. This is true as well for natural light. So part of my argument to truly understand light through the use of a light meter is for this very reason. I'm controlling my two lights here in a ratio of 2-stop difference. I'd like to have my key light, the L120 with the 7-foot umbrella, be 2 stops brighter than my bottom fill, which is the L120 with a 43-inch deep silver umbrella. So instead of just setting them to 100% power and 50% power and hoping that it's correct, I'm going to use the light meter to read each one of my individual lights and then together in order to make the best exposure through camera. Now, with any photo shoot, I'm always very big of directing my subjects. I often argue that the photographer often forgets that they are the director of the photo shoot. So I work very closely with my subjects to let them know exactly what is going on and what I'm doing and how to work within the space that I've confined them. So in the case of this shoot, there's a limit to how wide my frame is. So I'm marking the table so that Philip knows his edges of frame, because part of my direction is for him to utilize the table as a source for him to move his hands around in order to replicate the Irving Penn style that I'm emulating here. So with Philip, I'm not just discussing the technical part of the photo shoot, but also giving him a bit of direction to how he's going to move and what I'd like to see from him. For our next setup, I've changed the background out on the X-Drop Pro from Westcott to a rust-colored background. I'm going to put my second light, the fill light, behind camera with a 7-foot shoot-through umbrella, and I'm going to change to a Nanlite Fresnel with barn doors for my key light. This is going to allow me to have a lot of focus light right on Philip's face with very much control over it by being able to focus the light where I want, as well as utilize the barn doors to cut off the light. Another great aspect of continuous lighting is that what you see is what you actually get. So unlike with strobe photography, where you think something might look a certain way without testing it necessarily, what's in front of you with continuous light is exactly how the light's going to appear. Now, one of the downsides with continuous light is you're subject to however much power you can actually get out of these continuous lights. The more lights, the more power, and the bigger the lights, the bigger the power. Today's cameras are so great with their high ISOs that the quality doesn't necessarily suffer, and we can easily shoot at ISOs like 3200 or even 5000 and still get very nice, clean files. So really what's happened is that technology has put us in a place where the limitation of wattage isn't necessarily a bad thing. To have yet another variation on our second setup, I'm going to move my key light over to the left and direct Philip to face in a very specific direction so that the Fresnel light is cutting across his face for a very dramatic look. I'm also going to bring in that V-flat one more time, this time using the white to bounce a little bit of light back into the scene. The reason I use a fill light so often is that I'd rather have information in the dark areas that I can take away in post should I desire. Most of my work has a pretty contrasty look to it, so having the ability to control some of the light into those dark areas just gives me that much more control over the areas that want to have that deep black and the areas that I want to leave a little bit of detail within. I was having so much fun with the look of the Fresnel, and I changed the background to a canvas gray background that I had custom made a couple years ago. And in particular, I was thinking, how can I make a nice black and white image? So going ahead with pretty much the same light, I'm just creating an image that I know I want to transfer over to black and white in the end. For our last setup, I'm going to change the background once again to the X-Drop Pro black fabric. My key light is going to switch over to one of my favorite go-to Westcott products, which is the 24-inch Rapid Box Beauty Dish. Mine has the white interior, and I'm going to add the white diffusion over the front as well. Behind Philip, I'm going to add a 43-inch deep silver umbrella without diffusion, and I'm going to close the umbrella down slightly. I don't want the light to spread out very much. I'm actually going to use it. That specific shot is going to be Philip enjoying a cigar. Now, I happen to know that Philip likes cigars. We've talked about it many times in the other jobs that we've worked on together. So I pitched it out to him that we would make this our final shot for the day for the shot we're doing, and let him enjoy a nice cigar while we made some images. Continuous light is a fantastic tool at our disposal. The advancements in technology mean even more possibilities are coming our way. As you're on this journey of learning light, continuous light sources is something you should never overlook. Once again, for PPA, this is Ian Spanier. Thanks for joining us. Please comment and like below.